Stranger Things Season 3 has just been released, and I viewed it with my eyeballs, and I really enjoyed it. So, I'm a pretty big fan of Stranger Things. I've seen the first two seasons, I've enjoyed the first two seasons, and I enjoyed this third season. So, yeah, I'm gonna do the first bit of this spoiler free, and then I'm just gonna get into spoilers, because I feel like when we're in the third season of a show, like, you're kind of gonna watch it or you're not gonna watch it, but just in case some people out there, you've watched the first two seasons, but you're not entirely sure if you want to watch the third season, I'm going to try to give you some information that I think will be helpful to you. So, here's the thing. A lot of the traditional complaints about Stranger Things are that, after season 2, I would say, are that, yes, the show relies on a lot of nostalgia. That's one complaint that I hear. And also that in season 2, a lot of people were annoyed that they went back to the whole upside down thing again. And they do it again in the third season. So if that's something that you really didn't like from season 2, yeah, they go back to the upside down again in season 3. Now, here's the thing. To address those two complaints, not just season 3, but the show in general, yeah, there are a lot of references to old pop culture. But I wouldn't say that the show relies on it. I think it's just there, but it really relies on incredible characters that we really get attached to. And, that sentiment applies to the plot of the seasons. A lot of it is just upside down, the gate opened and upside down. We gotta get the Demogorgons or whatever. Yes, it's very samey, but I think that at the end of the day, if you have great characters and you really genuinely care about their relationships and you evolve these characters in interesting ways, I think that honestly, for me at least, I can really overlook the sameness of the plots, or overlook maybe some blatant references. So yeah, that's just for me. So if you're someone that really didn't like the fact that they went to the upside down again in season 2, and you were maybe hoping for a newer threat, then yeah, you might not dig season 3. But if you're like me and you don't really care about that, and you just wanted to see where these characters are at and how they've evolved and how they've changed, then season 3 is great, and you absolutely should check it out. So yeah, so those are my spoiler-free thoughts. I'm just gonna go into spoilers now. Yeah. So let me start going maybe into a bit more specifics with the plot of the show. So in this season, they introduce Russians, which I don't know. At first I was like, this is kind of cheesy and goofy, but I feel like the show does a good job of playing it on its sleeve. It's I think the show understands that it's kind of goofy, but I feel like they play it for laughs when they need to, and they take it seriously when they need to. So I liked it. I personally liked it, but I could see some people maybe not being into it. And then so the Russians, they've opened a gate into the upside down. But so okay, so I think in season 2, with the Demogorgon essence, I think that was stuck inside of Will, was released into the they took it out of him, and it just kind of went out, but it didn't go back into the upside down. So I think it basically just stayed in our universe, dimension, whatever you want to call it, in our dimension, I think. So that was gonna be a problem anyways, and so that doubled with the Russians opening the gate. That was gonna bring the rest of it back out into our world. I'm pretty sure that's what basically the plot of the season is, and yeah, like I said before, they go back to the upside down as a foil for our characters. Would I have liked to have seen something new? Yeah, But I think like again, like I said, for me, it's like really like what's the plot of the show has never really been its strength. So I was okay with it, and I thought it's not like completely the same. Like I liked how the Demogorgon, to get bigger, it would like I guess like seduce people and like use their bodies to like build itself up. It was pretty weird, and honestly, this season got like really disturbing with some of the stuff that it did. Um, and I thought it was like it was different enough. The Russians are an added element. So to me, yes, it's samey, but again, it's not really what I'm here for. When it's not really why I watch Stranger Things. And I think it's different enough. So there we go. So yeah, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this season. The characters. I really love where all our characters are at and how they've evolved. So first off, I like seeing Eleven. She's acclimating herself to living in society, I guess, and I really like how she's like more and more. She's just starting to become more of just a normal person. Like she's not as quiet. She's more willing to talk. Like she's starting to like just talk more like a normal person, if that makes any sense. And I think a lot of that is due to like the subtlety of Millie Bobby Brown's performance, because I think she's doing a really good job with showing the character's evolution in her through her performance. And yeah, like so the start of the season, her and Mike are in a relationship. Lucas and Max are still in a relationship, and I really love what they did with the conflicts between the friend group. You have Mike and Lucas, who they're starting to grow up and grow out of what they used to be as children, and you can kind of tell that Will and Dustin, they're still kind of they still haven't really matured as much, or not necessarily matured, but grown out of the stuff that they used to do as a kid. Because like from the very start of the season, Will, he still wants to sit in Mike's basement all night and play Dungeons and Dragons, and Dustin, he wants to build a fucking radio signal, like do weird technology stuff like that. But Mike and Lucas, they're kind of growing out of that phase, and that was a really interesting dynamic, and it's pretty realistic. So I really dug all that stuff. I like how Hopper is now 11's surrogate dad. I liked him and Joyce. Him like wanting to, wanting to maybe start a relationship with Joyce, but Joyce still being hung up on my boy Bob. My man's dead. Rest in peace. Him, like, she still hasn't really gotten over the events of season 2. So she's not really, at the beginning of the season, she's not really in a position to want to start a new relationship. And I think, honestly, I didn't hate it, but I think the weakest set of characters for me was probably blanking on her name, Jonathan and Mike's sister. What's her name? Nancy. Jonathan and Nancy's, because they kind of have some conflict, but it's like Nancy, you're obviously in the wrong here. Nancy, Nancy and Jonathan, they're now like interns at the local paper, and Nancy, like, she really wants to be a journalist or whatever. She wants to chase stories, and granted, Jonathan, so I think, like, Jonathan, he's like, oh, come on, let's not do it, but then he eventually gives in. So Jonathan is still doing this by his own free will, but then when it all backfires and Jonathan is like, Nancy, I really needed this job, like, at that point, Nancy, like, you should sympathize with that. And but she's like, don't give me your Oliver Twist shtick. And it's like, bruh, he's like, his family's poor. He needed this job. It's not like you didn't, maybe you didn't need this job, but he did. So I feel like she never sympathizes with that, and like she never comes around to like she never. I don't think she ever says sorry to him really. So I didn't really buy that whole thing. Like I never really, and like because of that conversation, they like broke up. It's like, is this really cause for you to break up necessarily? I don't know. That whole thing, and I mean, it's like resolved, like not like pretty quickly. So all that that stuff didn't really work for me, but pretty much every other character I thought was developed really nice. I also liked the whole Russian thing, the like Dustin and Steve and Robin, like them investigating and trying to figure out like what's going on here, because Dustin, he intercepts the Russian code or whatever. I liked all that stuff. I liked Steve and Robin's relationship, although I will say, like, when Steve confesses his feelings for her and Robin was like, I'm actually gay. You like you said that you were obsessed. Like, you let him on. You let him on, and then you're gonna break my man's heart like that? Like, bruh, really? So, I feel for Steve in this situation, but it's okay. They're friends, I guess, which is cool. It's cool. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, I like that whole dynamic. I felt like Lucas's little sister, she was a little like forced into this situation, and it's definitely very irresponsible for Steve and Robin to allow a little girl to crawl through the vents. But I thought she was she was like consistently really funny, so it's like, okay, it's fine, whatever. I also liked Billy in this. He's an actual like character in it for a little bit, but then he's taken over, and he's kind of like the main villain in a way for a lot of it. Since the Demogorgon doesn't really have much of, like, he's not really much of a character in the show. He's more of a force. So I liked Billy. Again, like, he's more like it wasn't really him. It was more or less him being controlled by something, but you like the glimpses that you get of the actual character and him making the eventual sacrifice in the end. It's like, okay, you were an asshole, but now you redeem yourself, and it was earned, in my opinion. So, and then I guess so. Yeah, that's where all the characters are at, and again, I like what they do with all of these characters throughout the place or throughout the season. And so getting near the end, I will say, so the show ends, and I'm not sure if I really like the fact that Joyce, I actually mentioned, obviously, Jim dies. We'll get to that later, but that was honestly not expected. I didn't expect like a major character to die, especially Jim. Or actually no, like I definitely didn't expect like any of the kids to die, and I didn't expect Jim to die, but I mean, he's if I were to guess that anybody would die, he's definitely high on the list. But either way, when it happened, I was like really surprised and genuinely really sad, because again, while it's the show has a goofy premise with the upside down and Russian Russians and just Russians in general, those Russians were rushing around doing their things. It's a goofy premise, but what they do an incredible job of giving us really great grounded characters for us to latch onto. So yeah, when Jim died, I was like, it really affected me. And so then it cuts to, so when everything's resolved, I think, was it 1 month later or was it 3 months later? I think it was a few months later. Cut because Joyce had mentioned that she wanted to move, and it was really sad because because she was talking about maybe staying if to be with Jim, and then she still ends up moving, which I don't really buy because like why would you do that to your children? Your children's friends are here, and your son's girlfriend is here. I mean, I feel like Jonathan maybe could have stayed there. Like, I mean, he's an adult. I think they've graduated high school at this point, so I feel like he maybe just could have gotten a place with Nancy. I don't know, but it's just like this weird goodbye, and also I guess Eleven is being adopted by Joyce, so she's also taking Eleven away from Mike, which again is just like, why would you do this to your children? Like, as far as you know, the threat of the Upside Down has been taken care of, to the best of your knowledge. I mean, I guess that's good enough of a reason to move, but to the best of your knowledge, the threat of the Upside Down has been taken care of. I don't know. We'll see though. We'll see. Yeah, that ending just didn't sit well with me, and I mean, yeah, obviously, to the show's credit, they've made me care enough about these characters that seeing them separated genuinely makes me sad and upset. So, credit to the show on that front, but again, I just don't necessarily buy that they would move. Like you're taking Jonathan away from his girlfriend, you're taking Will away from his friends, and you're taking Eleven away from her boyfriend. It's like I get that you maybe want to move away from the small town and maybe move away from the danger, but you kind of dealt with the danger, and your kids have a life here that you're dragging them away from. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see where they take that in the next season. By the way, I'm pretty sure there's going to be another season because Stranger Things is by far the biggest show that Netflix has right now. They kind of, honestly, I feel like at the moment, or maybe I'm just not aware of it, but they don't really have anything like massive. Like, I think at the moment, Stranger Things is like the massive show that they have. Like, that is the only like Game of Thrones level show that they have. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get a season 4, if not because of that, but because there is an after credit scene. I didn't realize that there was an after credit scene until I was watching Chris Stuckman's review, and he mentioned it. But yeah, there is an after credit scene, and so basically what it entails it is it's like in a Russian laboratory, and they're feeding people to someone. So that makes me believe that maybe the Russians have like a piece of the Demogorgon, because I mean that's how the Demogorgon works, right? If I'm not mistaken, like the Demogorgon is like this force, I guess, like a sort of like a symbiote in a way, and like the different like pieces of the Demogorgon can function as its own thing. It's weird, but I guess they have like a piece of the Demogorgon, and they feed like prisoners to it, and one of the Russians says, "Not the American." So that kind of leads me to believe that I guess maybe that's Jim. Maybe he somehow survived the explosion, and the Russians are keeping him prisoner. Again, they don't confirm it because they don't show who the American is. And I mean, it could be anybody. It could be a new character that they're going to set up in the next season. But yeah, I don't know. I guess from a storytelling perspective, I would like to maybe them, stick to their guns and keep Jim dead. Just because that was a really ballsy thing to do, because he is such a beloved character. But I'm not gonna be sad if I get to see my boy Jim again. But yeah, I think those are my general thoughts on season 3 of Stranger Things. Again, I really like this show. I understand a lot of the complaints that people have from this from the show. Like, I get it. I completely get where they're coming from, but for me, the strength of the show has always been the characters. and that strength is still here in season 3. I am just so emotionally attached to these characters, and I think they're acted so well by these actors. Like, the kids are they're fantastic. They really nail these characters, and they're really nailing just the growth of these characters. It's really interesting seeing these characters grow up as the actors themselves grow up. It's honestly a really fantastic thing. Like, I haven't seen Harry Potter, but I'm guessing it's a similar effect there, and it's really cool that I'm here in the moment, because I assume Stranger Things is gonna go down as a classic and as a classic show, and I'm really glad that I'm able to live through it. So yeah, that's gonna basically be it for me. I enjoyed Stranger Things season 3. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Let me know in the comments below, and goodbye.